For air travel to become the safest way of modern travel, it had to learn a lot through trial and error, with airline safety being developed and improved from the hard lessons learned from previous accidents all throughout history. Even in recent times, it's always awful when a tragedy occurs and eventually an aviation accident happens, but everyone involved in the aviation world, from engineers to pilots and crew, are always learning and perfecting air travel safety. Today, we're going to dive into what caused the top 10 deadliest aviation accidents in history to better understand how this whole world has evolved. Number 10, 1979 American Airlines Flight 191. On May 25, 1979, a McDonnell Douglas DC-10 aircraft operating American Airlines Flight 191 crashed at Chicago O'Hare International Airport. The aircraft's left engine detached from the wing during takeoff, severing hydraulic lines and damaging a section of the left wing's leading edge, which led to a loss of control of the aircraft. The accident claimed the lives of all 271 passengers on board and of 2 more people on the ground upon impact, becoming America's deadliest aviation accident. Number 9, 2003 Military Iran Revolutionary Guards Flight. An Aviation Il-76 aircraft carrying 275 people who belonged to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard crashed on February 19, 2003 near Kerman in Iran. The aircraft impacted 330 feet below a peak in the Sirat Mountains, leaving no survivors left, and while there are very few details publicly known of the crash or why it happened, reports of strong winds at the time were made, with villagers in the area hearing a loud explosion as well. Number 8, 1988 Iran Air Flight 655. Passenger aircraft being misidentified and downed by missiles is sadly a repeated cause of airliner losses over the years. During the Iran-Iraq War, tensions in Iran, Airbus 300 flying from Tehran to Dubai through Bandar Abbas was downed by the U.S. Navy that mistook the aircraft for a hostile military plane and fired 2 missiles at it, while the A-300 was flying over its usual route over Iran's territorial waters in the Persian Gulf. All 290 passengers and crew on board passed away. Number 7, 2014 Malaysia Airlines Flight 17. A Boeing 777-200 carrying flight MH17 from Amsterdam's Schiphol Airport to Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia was hit by a Buk surface-to-air missile fired by pro-Russian separatists as it flew over eastern Ukraine on July 17, 2014. The explosion in front of the aircraft killed 3 people in the cockpit and caused structural damage to the forward part of the aircraft, and none of the 283 passengers and 15 crew people survived the incident. Number 6, 1980 Saudi Flight 163. A Lockheed L-1011 TriStar operating Saudi Flight 163 caught on fire while taking off from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and while the TriStar managed to make a successful emergency landing, the captain failed to prepare the cabin crew for immediate evacuation upon landing, and the personnel did not have adequate equipment or training to function as required during an emergency, which left all 287 passengers and 14 crew to pass away inside the aircraft from smoke inhalation. Number 5, 1985 Air India Flight 182. A Boeing 747-200 operating Air India Flight 182 was flying over the Atlantic off the coast of Ireland on the Montreal-London-Delhi-Mumbai route when the Canadian Aviation Safety Board found that the aircraft experienced a sudden event at 31,000 feet when its aft cargo compartments ruptured before impacting the ocean, and a section of the wings of the aircraft was separated before impact as well. It is believed a bomb had been planted by Canadian 6, and in 2003 Inderjit Singh Riyat pleaded guilty to this statement. Number 4, 1974 Turkish Airlines Flight 981. On March 3, 1974, a McDonnell Douglas DC-10 flying from Istanbul Yisulkoy Airport to London Heathrow had its aft cargo door flew off mid-air, causing depressurization, which led to the disruption of the floor structure, and 6 passengers and various parts of the aircraft were ejected from the plane, causing the second engine to fail and impairing flight controls. The crew found it impossible to regain control of the aircraft, and it crashed in the Ermenonville forest near Paris. 348 people lost their lives with no survivors, and it was the first time in history over 300 people died in a single aviation accident. Number 3, 1996 Kazakhstan Airlines Flight 1907 and Saudi Flight 763. The Delhi airport in India used to be famous for its poor procedures of approach and landing, and in November 12, 1996, it contributed to the mid-air collision of Kazakhstan Airlines Flight 1907 and Aviation Il-76 aircraft with Saudi's Flight 763, a Boeing 747-100 plane. It was mainly attributed to the Kazakhstan Il-76 aircraft descending to 14,000 feet without authorization, having been assigned to fly at 15,000, and the aviation safety networks said contributing factors included the poor English language skills of the Kazakh pilot and his poor airmanship, which resulted in all 349 occupants of both aircraft to perish, becoming the third deadliest aviation disaster in history and the worst mid-air collision. Number 2, 1985 Japan Airlines Flight 123. This accident involved a Boeing 747 SR, a jumbo jet specially configured for short-haul domestic flights and a high-density seating configuration. On August 12, 1985, the aft bulkhead of the aircraft ruptured 12 minutes into the flight, causing subsequent ruptures of a part of the fuselage tail, vertical fin, and hydraulic flight control systems. The pilots managed to keep the plane flying with minimal control for another 32 minutes before it crashed in the area of Mount Takamagahara, and out of the 524 people on board, only 4 survived, even though initially 20 to 50 had survived the crash, but passed away before the delayed rescue teams reached the site. Number 1, 1977 KLM Flight 4805 and Pan Am Flight 1736. On March 27, 1977, the worst aviation disaster to date happened when 2 Boeing 747 jets collided on the runway at the Tenerife North Airport in the Spanish Canary Islands. The incident occurred during dense fog and happened in the context of confusion at the airport following a bomb explosion at another Canary Islands airport earlier that day. The KLM Flight 4805 initiated its takeoff run and collided with Pan Am Flight 1736 still on the runway, leaving all the people on board the KLM flight to pass away and only 61 people surviving on board the Pan Am flight, a total of 583 fatalities. This was all for today. Don't forget to share and subscribe to Big Aviation for more.